What if tonight your power went out and didn't come back for days? No heat, no lights, no phone, just freezing temperatures creeping into your home. Most Americans don't have a single backup heating source. That's why storms, blackouts, and grid failures send people into panic. Today, I'm showing 12 heating solutions that work without electricity. Some cheap, some long-lasting, and some that could literally save your life. Stick around. The last one almost nobody talks about. The US grid is fragile. Every year, storms knock out power for thousands, sometimes for days. Blankets aren't enough. Cold weakens your body and drains energy fast. We'll walk through 12 practical, off-grid heating solutions you can use immediately. Real, simple, and effective ways to stay warm when the power's gone. I'll drop quick warnings and tips along the way. Small details that can make a big difference in an emergency. Let's get into it. 1. Propane heaters, Mr. Heater Buddy series. When the power goes out in the middle of winter, the cold moves fast. And according to the U.S. Energy Information Administration, over 3.7 million Americans experienced power outages lasting 8 hours or more in 2023, with winter storms being one of the top causes. That number has been climbing for nearly a decade, and 2024 continued the same trend as the grid faced aging infrastructure and extreme weather. So when people say, "I'll be fine," they usually haven't lived through a real blackout in freezing temperatures. Now picture this. It's January, the wind is howling, and your home is dropping below 50 degrees before the sun even sets. This is exactly the moment when a Mr. Heater Buddy propane heater becomes more than a backup. It becomes a lifeline. These heaters are popular for a reason. They're portable, reliable, and designed for indoor safe use when paired with basic ventilation. FEMA and the CDC have repeatedly warned that alternative heat sources can be dangerous without ventilation, which is why cracking a window and using a carbon monoxide detector is non-negotiable. But when used correctly, these propane heaters provide instant, steady warmth that can literally prevent hypothermia. They run on small 1-Sasel propane cylinders, the kind you can find at almost any hardware store, or larger 25-liter tanks with an adapter. And here's where things get serious. After the Texas winter freeze in 2021, propane sales surged nationwide, and many stores ran out. It's the same pattern every time a major storm hits. Supplies dry up fast, and the people who wait until the emergency are the ones left shivering. So here's the reality check. When the grid collapses, whether from ice storms, rolling blackouts, or a nationwide outage, propane becomes gold. The folks who already have cylinders stacked in the garage sleep warm. The ones who don't end up searching gas stations in a panic. If you want a heating source that's affordable, easy to store, and proven to work in real emergencies, propane heaters are the first place to start. 2. Kerosene heaters. Kerosene heaters might feel old school, but every winter they prove exactly why they've survived this long. When the grid goes down and the temperature inside your home drops hour by hour, these heaters deliver something most alternatives can't. Deep, penetrating, radiant heat that warms an entire room, not just a small corner. And unlike propane, which can run out fast during a crisis, kerosene is one of the few fuels that can stay stable for years when stored correctly. Here's the part most people don't realize. According to the U.S. Energy Information Administration, roughly 5.7 million U.S. households still rely on kerosene, heating oil, or similar distillate fuels as part of their winter heating strategy. It's not outdated, it's reliable. And reliability is everything when a winter storm knocks out power lines for days. NOAA reported that the U.S.'s BESS saw over 20 BESS major winter storm events in 2023 and 2024 combined, many of which caused widespread outages lasting anywhere from 12 hours to several days. That's not theory. That's the trend. Now imagine this. You're snowed in during one of those storms. The wind is slamming the house, temperatures are falling into the 20s, and every breath you take inside feels colder than the last. You pull out a kerosene heater, fill the tank, and within minutes that rich, radiant heat starts spreading across the room. It's the kind of warmth that feels solid, the kind that cuts right through the cold and settles into your bones. Suddenly, the storm doesn't feel as dangerous, because you're not fighting it anymore. Of course, just like FEMA warns with any combustion heat source, you need ventilation. Not a wide open window, just a tiny crack is enough. A small fresh air exchange keeps the heater running safely while still maintaining that strong, steady heat. Kerosene heaters are simple. They don't rely on electronics. They don't freeze up, They don't quit when you need them most. And in a world where winter outages are becoming more frequent and more severe, old school heat starts looking a lot like smart modern prepping. 3. Wood-burning stoves. If there's one heating source that deserves the crown during a grid-down winter, it's the wood-burning stove. This is the king of off-grid heat, the one system that keeps working no matter what happens to the power grid, gas lines, or fuel supply. And here's why it matters. According to the U.S. Energy Information Administration, around 1.6 million American homes use wood as their primary heating source, and another 8 to 9 million use it as a secondary backup, especially in rural states. That's not nostalgia, that's survival. With a wood stove, your heat doesn't come from a utility company or a fuel truck. It comes from what you've stacked outside in your own backyard. Wood can be gathered, chopped, traded, seasoned, and stockpiled. And if you live anywhere with forests, you essentially have a renewable heating source right outside your door. When propane sells out, when kerosene prices shoot up, when natural gas lines freeze like they did during the Texas winter disaster, your woodpile doesn't care. It's there. It burns. It works. Now picture this. A major winter storm sweeps across your area. NOAA recorded dozens of these large-scale winter events in both 2023 and 2020, knocking out power to hundreds of thousands of homes at a time. Temperatures drop fast. Families panic. Stores sell out of heaters and generators within hours. But inside your home, the firebox is glowing. The stove radiates a strong, steady warmth that fills the entire room, not just a small pocket of space. You can sit next to it, warm your hands, dry your clothes, and actually relax while the world outside freezes. And here's where wood stoves truly shine. They do more than heat your home. A flat-top wood stove lets you cook meals, heat water, boil snow, sterilize supplies, and even make coffee in the middle of a blackout. FEMA and emergency managers emphasize that the ability to cook and heat water during an outage is just as important as staying warm, and a wood stove handles both effortlessly. When everything goes dark, a home with a wood stove doesn't skip a beat. Life continues almost normally. No cold nights, no panic runs to the store, no dependence on fragile systems. A wood-burning stove isn't just backup heat, it's independence. 4. Pellet stoves, battery or thermoelectric models. Pellet stoves are a different kind of off-grid heat, cleaner than wood, easier to manage, and surprisingly powerful. Most people think they only work with electricity, and it's true that the majority of units need a small amount of power to run the fans and automatic feed system. But here's the part many homeowners don't know. Some pellet stoves are designed to run off backup batteries or even thermoelectric modules, which means they can keep heating your home long after the power goes out. Pellet heat has exploded in popularity over the last decade. According to the U.S. Energy Information Administration, over 1 million American homes use pellet stoves, and wood-based heating has been one of the fastest-growing supplemental heat sources, especially in northern states. And there's a reason for that. These stoves burn compressed wood pellets, uniform, dense fuel that creates a strong, steady heat without the constant tending that a traditional wood stove needs. You pour in pellets, ignite the burner, and the stove handles the rest. Now imagine this scenario. A winter storm rolls across your area, knocking out power for 48 hours. The house starts cooling down, the lights are out, and you're trying to figure out how to stay warm without draining your generator. Instead of panicking, you grab your backup battery pack, the one you keep charged for emergencies. You connect it to your pellet stove, and within minutes, the fans whisper to life, and that steady, regulated heat fills the room. It's not loud, it's not messy, it just works. And here's where the real advantage kicks in. Pellet stoves have some of the longest burn times of any off-grid heater. Because the fuel is consistent and highly efficient, you can get hours of heat from a small amount of pellets, something you'll appreciate when every pound of fuel matters. NOAA continues to warn that severe winter storms are becoming more frequent, with multi-day outages affecting hundreds of thousands of homes each winter across the U.S. The people who rely on electric heat are stuck. The ones with traditional stoves are constantly tending the fire. But the pellet stove crowd? They get slow, controlled warmth that lasts through the night. If you want a heating system that's cleaner than wood, easier than kerosene, and capable of running completely off-grid with just a small battery or thermoelectric boost, a pellet stove is one of the smartest additions you can make to your winter prep arsenal. 5. Indoor safe alcohol heaters. Indoor safe alcohol heaters are one of those survival items most people overlook, until they actually need one. Denatured alcohol burns clean, fast, and surprisingly hot, and when used correctly, it's one of the safest indoor emergency fuels you can store. FEMA and the CDC both note that alcohol-based fuels produce far fewer dangerous fumes than kerosene or gasoline, which is why these small heaters are often recommended for compact, well-ventilated spaces. And here's the part that catches folks off guard. These things pack serious heat for their size. Think of an alcohol heater as a mini personal heating system, the kind you can stash in a bedroom drawer, under the bathroom sink, or even inside your vehicle's emergency kit. They're especially useful in situations where you don't need to warm an entire house. Just one room, one bunk area, or even just keep your hands and body temperature steady. In a short-term blackout, that can be the difference between uncomfortable and dangerous. The National Weather Service has repeatedly warned that even indoor temperatures dipping below 50 degrees can increase the risk of hypothermia, especially for older adults. People don't realize how quickly a house can cool down during a winter outage, sometimes within hours. Now imagine this. It's late at night, the power goes out after an ice storm, and the temperature in your home is falling fast. You don't want to fire up a big propane heater while everyone's asleep, and running a generator just to keep one room warm feels like a waste. Instead, you pull out a compact alcohol heater, pour in denatured alcohol, strike the flame, and instantly that soft, steady heat begins filling the space. It's warm enough to take the edge off the cold, but controlled enough that you're not overwhelming a small room. These heaters are especially useful for apartments, mobile homes, cabins, and small bedrooms, places where large off-grid heaters are either too big, too loud, or too risky. Preppers also love them for vehicles. If you've ever been stuck on the road in freezing weather, you know how terrifying it can be when the engine won't run and the cabin temperature drops below freezing. An alcohol heater is one of the few emergency options you can safely use inside a car with a cracked window. And here's the teaser. You won't believe how much heat you get from something this small. It's one of those tools that looks insignificant, until the night you're glad you have it. 6. Charcoal or briquette. Heaters, not for indoor use, but vital. Charcoal heaters are one of the most misunderstood emergency heat sources out there. And let's get this straight right away. You never burn charcoal indoors. Ever. The CDC warns that charcoal produces extremely high levels of carbon monoxide, and every winter, dozens of Americans are hospitalized or killed because they try to use charcoal grills inside homes, garages, or enclosed porches. CO poisoning is silent. No smell, no taste, no warning. So this heat source is strictly outdoor only. But here's where people overlook a massive survival advantage. Charcoal might be one of the most dependable outdoor emergency heat sources you can stockpile. It's cheap, it stores for years if kept dry, and it burns hot enough to cook full meals, boil water, melt snow, or create a warm working area outside. FEMA and the National Weather Service have repeatedly emphasized that during long-term outages or winter storms, having a safe outdoor way to cook or boil water is just as important as having indoor heat. Now picture this. An ice storm has knocked power out across your entire neighborhood. It's the kind that NOAA has been tracking more often. Storms that drag down power lines and leave tens of thousands without electricity for a day or more. Inside your home, you're relying on whatever indoor safe heat you have. But outside, you still need a way to cook, sanitize, or heat water for drinking and cleaning. This is where charcoal becomes your outdoor emergency furnace. Set it up under a wide open garage door, on a porch with full ventilation, or in your backyard fire-safe area. Within minutes, those briquettes reach temperatures that rival a propane burner. You can heat a Dutch oven, boil gallons of water, or keep a warming station going for hours without burning through expensive propane or kerosene. And here's the part most families forget. Charcoal never runs out during emergencies. When storms hit, propane shelves empty, generators sell out, and firewood disappears. But bags of charcoal are usually still sitting in the barbecue aisle because people don't think of them as survival fuel. For preppers, charcoal isn't an indoor heater. It's your outdoor lifeline, the backup heat source that keeps meals hot, water boiling, and morale steady when everything else is falling apart. 7. Rocket stoves. Rocket stoves are the kind of tool every prepper dreams of. Compact, efficient, and surprisingly powerful. FEMA and the Red Cross often highlight rocket stoves in emergency preparedness guides because they burn small amounts of fuel to create intense heat. Unlike traditional campfires, they can heat water, cook meals, and even warm small areas without wasting wood or producing excessive smoke. That efficiency is exactly what makes them invaluable during grid-down scenarios. Here's the reality. NOAA has been tracking an increase in severe winter storms and localized power outages across the U.S., with tens of thousands of homes losing heat and electricity each year. When the wind is howling and the streets are iced over, most people are left scrambling to keep warm, boil water, or cook a hot meal. That's where rocket stoves shine. They're lightweight, portable, and can burn practically anything: twigs, pine cones, scrap wood, which means you're not reliant on propane, kerosene, or a fully stocked woodpile. Picture this: a major storm hits your neighborhood, the power is out, and everyone around you is shivering inside. You step outside, set up your rocket stove, and within minutes, you have boiling water for coffee or a warm meal. Neighbors start noticing. Suddenly, your small prepper stove is not just a personal lifeline, it's a community resource. That's why rocket stoves are so widely recommended in off-grid and survival circles. These stoves aren't just for camping trips, they're practical in backyards, temporary shelters, and even urban grid-down situations where wood is available. They're small, so storage is easy, but they produce a focused, powerful heat that feels much larger than their size. Preppers love them because a few sticks in the chamber can provide hours of warmth and cooking capability. In short, rocket stoves give you independence and flexibility. When everything else fails, they turn minimal fuel into maximum heat and comfort. In a world where winter storms and power outages are becoming more frequent, having a rocket stove could mean the difference between freezing in the dark and enjoying a hot meal while others struggle. 8. Emergency Mylar heat sources. Reflective survival gear. Emergency Mylar gear is one of those simple survival tools that most people overlook, until they're trapped in freezing conditions. These blankets and reflective sheets don't generate heat, but they do something just as important. They trap it, turning your own body warmth into a life-saving resource. According to FEMA and the American Red Cross, reflective blankets are recommended in all emergency kits for hypothermia prevention because most winter-related deaths in power outages or extreme weather aren't from the cold itself. They're from heat loss outpacing heat production. In other words, you can be perfectly healthy and still freeze if your body loses heat faster than it can generate it. Now picture this. A blizzard has slammed your town, knocking out electricity for days. The house is dropping into the 40s. Blankets barely help, and you can feel the cold creeping into your bones. You pull out several Mylar blankets, line the walls of a small bedroom, and wrap yourself tightly. Suddenly, your own body heat, combined with even a tiny supplemental source like a candle heater or hot water bottle, becomes enough to keep the cold at bay. It's not glamorous, and it doesn't replace a wood stove or propane heater, but in life or death cold, it works. These reflective heat sources are lightweight, inexpensive, and easy to stockpile. NOAA and the CDC have noted that during extended outages, especially in rural or northern areas, people often underestimate just how quickly indoor temperatures can drop. Even with insulated walls, a small, unheated room can feel dangerously cold within hours. That's where Mylar shines. It reflects radiant heat back toward you, minimizing heat loss and allowing your body to maintain core temperature for much longer. Here's the kicker most people never realize. The majority of people who freeze indoors during emergencies aren't cold because they lack blankets. They freeze because they lose heat faster than they can produce it. Mylar flips that equation entirely. It turns your body from a passive victim of the cold into an active heater. And in a survival situation, that can be the difference between making it through the night or not. Lightweight, cheap, and life-saving, Mylar might be one of the simplest tools with the biggest impact when the temperatures drop and the power is out. 9. Candle heaters, clay pot designs. Candle heaters might sound almost too simple to be effective, but in an emergency, they can make the difference between shivering through the night and staying warm enough to sleep. FEMA and the Red Cross include candles in emergency preparedness guides, not just for light, but because when paired with a basic reflective setup, like a clay pot, they can produce a surprising amount of radiant heat. It's a tiny, low-tech solution, but during multi-day winter outages, every bit of heat counts. Here's the reality. NOAA reports that winter storms and extended power outages are becoming more frequent, affecting hundreds of thousands of homes across the U.S. each year. And while most people think blankets or small space heaters are enough, even a well-insulated room can drop below freezing in less than a night if the electricity goes out. That's where candle heaters come in. They won't replace a propane or wood stove, but they're perfectly suited for heating a single room or keeping one person comfortable. Picture this. It's late December, your electricity has been out for hours, and the bedroom is dangerously cold. You pull out a few candles, place them under an inverted clay pot or a DIY reflector setup, and suddenly, that small, contained heat begins radiating across the room. The warmth is concentrated, efficient, and surprisingly effective for a short-term solution. Even a couple of candles can maintain enough comfort to sleep, work, or tend to other survival tasks without shivering constantly. The beauty of candle heaters is how simple and accessible they are. Tea lights, votive candles, or even small pillar candles can be used, and clay pots are cheap and easy to find at hardware or craft stores. Unlike propane or kerosene, there's no need for specialized fuel. Just stockpile a few boxes of candles, and you're set. It's not glamorous. It won't heat your entire home. But in a freezing bedroom, a few candles and a clay pot can make a night survivable. Cheap, simple, and effective, candle heaters are a small tool that can save comfort, morale, and even health during a power outage. For preppers, that's exactly the kind of solution worth keeping on hand. 10. Hot water bottles and thermal mass heating. Sometimes the oldest tricks are the best. Hot water bottles and thermal mass heating are survival techniques that have been used for centuries, and for good reason. When the power goes out during a winter storm, you can't always rely on heaters, stoves, or generators. NOAA and FEMA both emphasize that maintaining core body temperature is critical during extended outages, especially when indoor temperatures drop below 50 degrees. That's where thermal mass comes in. It stores heat and releases it slowly, giving your body a steady source of warmth throughout the night. Here's how it works. Heat water using any available source: propane, wood, charcoal, even a solar kettle if the sun is out. Pour that hot water into heavy-duty bottles, stainless steel containers, or even tightly sealed canisters. Place them under blankets, inside sleeping bags, or around your core while you rest. Your bed instantly becomes a warm zone, even if the rest of the room feels like a freezer. FEMA has repeatedly noted that portable, personal heat sources are essential for older adults, children, and anyone with compromised health, because localized warmth can significantly reduce the risk of hypothermia when heating the whole home isn't possible. Imagine this: a brutal winter storm knocks out your neighborhood power. The wind rattles the windows, and the air inside your house is painfully cold. You climb into bed with a couple of hot water bottles tucked under your blankets, their warmth radiating slowly. While the house continues to cool, you stay comfortable and safe. That small, simple trick transforms a freezing bedroom into a survival-friendly environment. The mini hook here is crucial. In many long-term outages, thermal mass might be the only reliable heat you have at night. Unlike electricity-dependent heaters or fuel-based stoves that require constant monitoring, hot water bottles work passively, storing heat and releasing it for hours. They're cheap, safe, and easy to stockpile. For preppers and anyone serious about winter survival, thermal mass heating is one of those overlooked but indispensable tools, simple enough for anyone to use, yet effective enough to make a real difference when the cold sets in and the grid goes down. 11. Body heat tactics and warm rooms. When the power goes out and your home starts to freeze, you don't need to heat every room. You just need one. Preppers and survival experts call this the warm room strategy, and it saved families during blizzards and extended blackouts. FEMA and the Red Cross emphasize that concentrating heat in a single space is far more effective than trying to keep the entire house warm, especially when fuel is limited or generators are offline. Here's the principle. Your body is producing heat constantly, about 100 watts per person, roughly the same as a small incandescent light bulb. Combine the heat of everyone in the room with supplemental sources like hot water bottles, candles, or small indoor safe heaters, and you can create a surprisingly warm zone without burning through your fuel stockpile. The trick is to trap that heat. Hang blankets over doorways, block drafts with towels or furniture, and use rugs, curtains, or even stacked chairs to seal off cold air. You're basically turning a single room into a survival bubble. Picture this: a winter storm knocks out power for a neighborhood. Outside, Wind chills push the temperature below zero, but inside your home, one bedroom is cozy. The kids are tucked under blankets, a couple of hot water bottles are keeping their feet warm, and even the family cat is curled up in the corner, sharing body heat. By sealing the room and trapping warmth, you're turning every person and object in that room into a small radiator. Simple physics, but life-saving in practice. NOAA data shows that prolonged winter outages affect thousands of households every year, especially in northern and rural states. In many cases, localized strategies like warm rooms prevent hypothermia far more effectively than trying to heat large, empty spaces, which wastes heat and energy. The takeaway is simple. Don't fight the cold by heating the whole house. Focus your energy and resources on one room, seal it off, and let the combination of body heat, thermal mass, and small supplemental heat sources do the work. In a long blackout or brutal winter, this tactic isn't just practical, it's essential survival wisdom. 12. The ultimate backup: solar heat panels, DIY or store-bought. When it comes to long-term off-grid heat, few solutions compare to solar heat panels. These systems don't rely on electricity, gas, or stored fuel. They capture energy straight from the sun and channel it into your home, creating a steady, renewable heat source that works even during winter. According to the U.S. Department of Energy, passive and active solar heating systems can raise indoor temperatures by 5 to 10 degrees Celsius on overcast winter days, and on sunny days, they can make the difference between shivering and staying comfortable. That's huge when the power is out and you're relying on every degree of warmth you can get. Some preppers take the DIY route, building solar heat panels from cans, insulation, and simple tubing. These can be mounted on windows or south-facing walls to trap heat efficiently. Others invest in store-bought systems that are ready to go and engineered for maximum efficiency. Either way, the principle is the same. The sun is a free, reliable energy source, and solar heat panels let you harness it even when the grid is down. FEMA and NOAA both note that having renewable or passive heating sources is critical for long-duration emergencies, especially in regions prone to winter storms or rolling blackouts. Picture this. It's late January. Your area has been hit by an ice storm, and the electricity is out for days. Outside, the temperature is in the teens, but inside, the sun catches your solar heat panels and starts quietly warming the house. It's not immediate or dramatic like a wood stove, but those extra degrees mean your water pipes stay safer, your family feels more comfortable, and the risk of hypothermia drops significantly. That's the real value of solar heat. It's long-term, renewable, and low maintenance. It doesn't run out like propane, kerosene, or wood. And in a world where winter outages are growing more frequent, it's one of the few heating solutions that can keep giving day after day, storm after storm. For preppers who want independence and resilience, solar heat panels aren't just a backup. They're a cornerstone of winter survival. And that's exactly why this makes the list of must-have off-grid heating solutions. If you found this helpful, hit that like button and subscribe for more survival tips. And comment below, which of these heating solutions would you stockpile first? I want to see how prepared you really are. Don't wait for the next blackout. Take action now while you still can.